What's going on, my dudes? Chensley11 here, and welcome back to another episode in the A to Z series. In today's episode, we're going to be showing you how to play Jayce top for beginners. So we're going to be going through all of the Jayce runes, his build, and most importantly for these videos, his abilities. So if you are here, new to the channel, new to the series, hit the subscribe button, because as you can tell, we are going through every single champion in League of Legends and giving you a basic guide on each of them. So we're up to Jayce. So Jayce is one of those champions where he is really difficult, mechanically difficult. He takes a lot of practice. He has obviously a lot of abilities. If you don't know, Jayce is again one of those champions that has two sets of abilities, like Elise, one of the earlier champions we covered. So he has, just a quick rundown, a hammer form where he's in melee, and then he turns into a cannon form where he becomes ranged. And each of the different phases or stances, as they're called, change his abilities. So he gets 3 abilities of each phase, and then his ultimate, or his R in this case, it's not really an ultimate, changes between those stances. So it's something to get used to. It took a little bit of time. If you're new to Jayce, it will take you a little bit of time to get used to that. But once you get the hang of it, you'll find Jayce is an extremely versatile champion. And what I mean by versatile is he can do a lot of different things. Mechanically and in terms of in the game. So we'll go through those in a moment as we go through the abilities. First, we'll quickly mention the runes that are the best runes currently right now. Phase Rush. If you don't know what Phase Rush does, it gives you movement speed when you hit a burst of 3 attacks. There's a lot of abilities that give attack speed, namely his W in his, his cannon form. That'll give you all the burst of attacks. So there's definitely some synergy there with Phase Rush, and it'll help you stick onto targets, which is one of the things Jayce can do in his hammer form, if you want to stay in your hammer form, like the melee form. Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, Gathering Storm, then we're going to take Free Boots and Biscuit Delivery. I found Biscuit Delivery quite helpful in lane as Jayce, because you tend to run out of mana if you get excited with casting your long range abilities when you're trying to abuse that range. And also get a little bit of sustain as well in lane, which synergizes well with like sticking around trying to scale, which is what I think Jayce is good at. So, as I said, I'm not going to lie, Jayce is quite difficult. So if you are new to the game and or Jayce, have a good think about it. Jayce is fun to play, and part of what makes Jayce fun is his versatility. And we'll go through all his abilities in a moment, but just quickly want to put up on the screen the build we are going today. So I think it's Eclipse into Man Immune, and then Edge of Night third if we can get to it. And we're going to go CDR boots or Boots of Lucidity as the boots. And then with maxing, Jayce is obviously a bit unique in the fact that you don't put points in his ultimate, so you put more points into his other 3 abilities. And those are, you max Q as quickly as possible, and then you max your W as quickly as possible, and then your E as quickly as possible. And I'll throw up the what you should take at each level on the screen. So there you go. So we're up against a Tahm Kench, one of the more interesting lanes. Obviously, Tahm Kench can be quite badly abused if we're in ranged form. We do have to be careful because our jungler is a Kindred, which means he's going to scale hard, but he's going to be especially weak to the Xin Zhao, who's extremely strong early. So we're just kind of babysitting this jungler, trying to help him out here, help him secure this Scuttle Crab. So we might be missing a little bit of minions, but it's better for the team if we can secure this. And also we want to see if we can make a play on mid lane. If the Lissandra follows, we might be able to get an early kill. We'll see how we go. I had to burn an early flash though. So not the best play, but again, as with all these videos, the gameplay isn't the most important thing. And I must say this game we do pretty good. But yeah, the gameplay isn't the main thing of these videos. It's to go through the champion, have a little bit of a basic guide so you can understand how to play them. I think the jungler got the Scuttle name, it just missed out. So we're going to head back top. Fortunately, we can't help. He's going to burn his flash. So a little bit of a dodgy start to the game, but the wave is pushing into us. We didn't lose too much as we throw a massive Q there onto the back wave. So we're going to start going through his abilities. The thing with Jayce, as I said, is there's a few abilities to get through. So what we're going to do is we're going to first explain the passive as we normally do, and then we're going to go through the melee abilities, and then we're going to go through the ranged abilities. All right, so, and then just a quick mention what I'm trying to do in the lane here. basically, all I'm trying to do is farm up as best I can, get to my item spikes, and then push advantage. And as you can see, again, we are running out of mana, so just keep an eye on that. You do run teleport as well, which is something I like to do on mana-hungry champions or champions that I want to get a lead on in terms of an item lead or an XP lead, and then I'll push. I'll teleport in and push that lead onto the laner. So, quick mention of his identity. So Jayce is like, how do I like to think of him? And it'll become clear later on in the game once we get some items. He's like a ranged. He's like he can play as an AD carry, but then like with range attacks, right? But then he can play as like a insane artillery mage, even though he does physical damage like Xerath or Lux. And then on top of that, he can play as like a diving assassin who does a quick burst of damage. And that's what I mean, where he has a lot of playstyles and he has versatility in his kit. And that's just because he has many abilities and he has obviously the two forms. So we're going to get started. We're going to go through his passive. So the passive is called Hextech Capacitor. All right, so Jayce, every time he switches between hammer and cannon form, he gains 40 bonus movement speed, and you become ghosted. So if you don't know what ghosted means, it means you can pass through units without any unit collision. So what is that good for? It's good for trading. Like if you're in your range form and you want to switch to your hammer to get in close to do some auto attacks, you can just run straight to the minions. It's great for trying to escape. Trying to escape from a gank or whatnot, you can run straight through the minions, and if you ghost yourself, and then the jungler or the champion who's chasing you will have to, like, they might get staggered by the minions because they'll get knocked around. There are obviously other champions that have ghosting effects, but Jayce is one of them. And you can see the first item we're going to back and get is the Serrated Dirk, so keep that in mind. That is the best first back item, and I would recommend maybe getting a like boots. If I should have, I can't get boots because you're taking the free boots. But I would have taken a refillable potion. They do come in handy as well. And for the price that they are refillables, and the amount of health you get back from them is pretty much worth it every time in my books. Like super good. All right, so that's the passive. A very simple passive. Whenever you switch forms, you gain movement speed and you become ghosted. So next, we're going to go through. So remember, we're going to go through the hammer form first stuff. Hammer form stuff first, which is his melee form. And just a quick mention of what I'm doing in the lane. Again, just trying to farm up as best we can. As you do normally with Jayce, you try and poke first and then try and initiate an all-in. I'll explain that as we go, as we get through some of the abilities. So the first ability we're going to go through is Jayce's Q in hammer form, and it's called To the Skies. So Jayce leaps to a target location, smashes his hammer on the ground, and when he arrives, he deals physical damage to all enemies in that area and slowing them. Now, it's a very simple ability. So you just jump into the air. I want to see if I use it eventually. I tend to stay in ranged form a lot during the laning phase to help me, especially against a melee champion like Tahm Kench in this stage. So I've definitely used the Q at some point, but it's not going to be on the screen in the actual gameplay. I'll put it in the top left. You just jump into the air and slam your hammer on the ground. Now, the thing to keep in mind with this ability is that it actually is an AoE ability. So you can actually target minions that are in front of the champion you'll try to attack, and it'll splash to the back, behind the minions and do damage to them. We'll get a nice EQ combo off on the Tahm Kench, get him nice and low. Unfortunately for us, this wave is pushing into him, so we can't just punish him and freeze it, but that's okay. We're going to try and shove it as quickly as possible. Maybe get a tower plate, get it back, and maintain this item advantage we have. So, for example, see that there was the ability there. So if the Tahm Kench was directly behind that minion I targeted, he would also take damage. So this helps with extending the range of the ability, and it also, obviously it's an AoE, helps with clearing waves. I like to use the Q. There you go, nice range kill there with my Q, with the E combo. So that's what I like to do to burst opponents with that Q. You just jump on top of them. Late game, what I tend to do is to try and jump on top of enemy squishies like an ADC, like a Kog'Maw in this case in this game. So or the Xerath especially because he's very immobile. I'll just jump on top of him with that Q in the hammer form, and then go from there. Use the other abilities. Use the W in the melee form. And forgive me if this is getting confusing. as we have a lot of abilities to get through. Next, we're going to go for the Vampiric Scepter, I believe, and we are going to be nearly close to our clips. So there's the Vampiric Scepter. We get a long sword as well. So we're heading back to lane. One thing I will mention, and I haven't gone through it first, but use your gate as you're coming out of the base to give you a bit more movement speed. And make sure when you're moving across the map, use your ultimate or your R to switch between forms to give you that bonus movement speed. So we've got a nice wave pushing into our tower. So we're going to miss a few of these, but that's okay. But yeah, that's basically the melee version of his Q. Very simple. And there's a good example of me switching forms to get some movement speed. So the next ability we're going to go through is the W in melee form, which is called Lightning Field. Quite a simple ability. Basically, while in hammer form, your auto attacks restore mana. So as I said earlier, that Jayce uses a lot of mana, especially if you're using the gate Qs, which we'll go through in a moment. You're going to run out of mana. So what I suggest you do is change back to your hammer form and try and get auto attacks on, right? So you retain some of that mana. So we got 2 levels on the Xin Zhao. We have to be careful because I knew the Tahm Kench was nearby. We get the knock up. Let's see what we can do here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to flash away. Playing it safe. Trying to wait for backup. Unfortunately, we don't have mid-pro as well, so it's pretty doomed. I probably just got caught out there. And I'm just trying to have a look with my Q. Most of Jayce's abilities, as we'll watch this here, give vision. As well as just something to keep in mind. Can I steal this? Oh, nearly. But the Xin Zhao is actually quite low. I might have been able to just Q on top and steal it. So there's the Q on top and the steal. And this is the field that we've activated now. So this is the active portion of the lightning field. And as you can see, it generates a zone of electricity around him that does passive damage, right? So it just does ticking damage for 4 seconds. And it does magic damage all around him. So... the Xerath is trying to get us. It's a battle of the poke mages in this game. So there you go. There's my poke. And the Lissandra's going to help out. And we should be able to maybe throw a Q behind as well to help out. There it is. We'll take the Q as well. So we've turned this one around. A little bit of a bad early game with having to burn flash. But then we end up managing to come back here and absolutely get 3 kills. And now we're going to snowball this game. So you can see there's the lightning field there. Helps clear waves. I use that in combination with my Q when in melee form. To absolutely demolish waves. And you combine that with his ranged Q ability, which again we'll go through in a moment, absolutely smashes waves. So Jayce is really good in the side wave, in the side lane rather, because he can smash waves really quickly and push lanes out. I know this video is about top lane Jayce. You can also play mid lane, not much different. It's just you need to be a bit more aware what's going on the map because you want to be roaming bot and top and helping out the jungler a bit more. Whereas top, you can just focus on your farm, focus on trading, get a lead, push it through the other parts of the map. So that's the W. Sorry, remember it restores mana on hit when you're in your hammer form. Something that you might you tend to forget if you're not paying attention. And then also obviously it does the electric field around you, dealing magic damage. So the next ability is the E, called Thundering Blow, and this is the melee version of the E. Jayce swings his hammer at a target, dealing magic damage, and what it does is it knocks them away from Jayce. So some interesting things about this ability. So it actually knocks the targets further back depending on how close they are to you, right? So if they're really close to you, you knock them further away from yourself, rather, or like they travel the furthest. They still end up at the same spot, but if you're trying to escape, try and make sure they get really close to you and then knock them back. I like to use it. Again, you can use this as an auto attack reset. Unfortunately, we roamed, didn't quite get the kill. But if that Xerath had flash and he flashed away, we could have helped out the Lissandra and got a kill, maybe secured the kill for our Lissandra there. So decent roam. Obviously, it didn't work out for us, cleared some vision. We have to be wary that the Xin Zhao is now mid. Hopefully, this Lissandra saw it. I don't know if she did. And we have got 2 levels on the Tahm Kench. We're just going to continue to bully him as soon as we can. And just jump right on top of him with the Q. Yeah, so basically, the Thundering Blow, it's an auto-attack reset. It's an auto-attack buff that knocks enemies away from you. So really, really good for peeling for yourself or your team. Really, really good for something I call insecking. If you guys are long League of Legends fans, you know what that means. You can get behind someone and knock them back into your team or knock them into your tower. So it's a super versatile ability. There it is there. Perfect example. I knocked him back towards my own tower. Missed my Q there. A bit embarrassing. To try and increase my damage output, right? Because if I knock him back, I can get a couple more auto attacks in. One thing I will say I've noticed, because obviously I don't play the game perfectly. I'm pretty terrible. I've noticed that I'm not warding enough in the river, especially when I have a ward up and I'm going to be pushing and applying a lot of pressure onto this Tahm Kench. I should have a ward. So I wouldn't be surprised if I get ganked in the next few seconds and die to it or get caught out, because I should have a ward. I haven't seen the Xin Zhao, I haven't been paying attention. So that's all the abilities in the melee form. Now, the ultimate actually has a passive attached to it, and I'll throw it up on the screen now. Bit of dinner coming through there in a burp. So Jayce transforms to the Mercury Hammer, so that's when you push your R. Now, obviously, when you're in ranged form or your cannon form, your abilities or your attacks rather are ranged. So your auto attacks have an extra 500 range. But actually, the next auto attack when you switch to your ranged form reduces the target's armor and magic resist. Okay, so that's super important. You want to try and get that first auto attack in as soon as you can. I can't quite TP in behind. There's no wards. Otherwise, I maybe been able to get a kill, but it's probably a bit risky. Next, we're going to Miramana. Another thing that I didn't mention, I got the mana, the tier quite quickly to make sure I can start stacking that up. So you're looking to do a TP, jump straight onto the Xin Zhao, and then I got behind him, knocked him back, and then we're going to get a few auto attacks in on the Xerath. Not the cleanest gameplay, not the cleanest fight, but it was not too bad. Managed to get a kill. Good TP to rescue the Lissandra, not dying for nothing. Counter ganking, I guess, the enemy jungler. Unfortunately, I'm missing the long range abilities against the Xerath, who is the king of long range abilities. Yeah, you can see he's just tickling me with just the tip. So yeah, guys. So when you transform into the ranged, your first auto attack does shreds their armor magic resist. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So we're going to go on to now we've switched. Let's pretend we've switched into our ranged form. We've got a whole brand new set of abilities. The first ability, Jayce, is bread and butter. And it's my favorite ability on Jayce. It's the ability we've been spamming. It's called Shock Blast. Very, very cool ability. Jayce fires an orb of electricity in a target direction. You can see me use it a whole bunch during this game. And then it detonates upon at the end of its maximum cast or when it hits something. So you can also hit things for example, if there's again with the thing with the minions, you can hit a minion and then splash the damage into the champion who's behind the minions. Okay, so keep that in mind. Super versatile ability for clearing waves, for poke. Let's see if we can get onto this fight here and use the Q itself onto the Galio perhaps. No, we're going to go straight onto the back line. We use the Q and then we follow up with the second Q. We knock the Tahm Kench back into our team. Pretty good fight, not too bad for us. We end up with another 2 kills. We're 5-0 at this point. And you can see that lethality we're buying starting to come through. Absolutely decimating the squishies. The Xerath is having a look. And you can see we are clearing waves really quickly too with that Shock Blast. It also gives sight. Oh, nice dodge there as well. It also gives sight, so it's a good tool for checking bushes. Are we finished here? Yeah, we're finished. This Xerath is too good for us. He hit us with a W, slowed us, and we couldn't escape. Could have switched to my hammer form. It would have given me movement speed. Also, I'll explain later, but it gives you a bit more resistances too. So a little bit of a misplay, and it's good to go through those with you so you can see what I'm doing wrong as well. So that's our first death, unfortunately. One other thing with the Q, and you would see me doing it, you're going to say, Chens, why is sometimes there's this gate thing that appears and your ball goes faster? Okay, let me explain. So if combined with your acceleration gate, which is your E, we'll go through that in a moment in detail. Nice Luxol. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get the kill. Team follows up. If you use your Q through the gate, it actually supercharges it. It actually instantly increases its speed to its remaining distance, if that makes sense. So let's say it's supposed to reach here and you use the gate, it'll speed it up to that location much quicker, which makes it much harder to dodge. And it also makes a larger blast and increasing its damage by 40%. So I always try and hit the gate Q as much as I can. Just be aware that in the early game, it absolutely inhales. It drinks your mana. We are getting absolutely bossed by this bloody Xerath. We might have to buy some magic resist. But we're going to switch to hammer form, get the hell out of there. Unfortunately, we go into a choke point, which makes Xerath landing that ability much easier. But we managed to grab some fruit. Make sure we're eating our fruit, guys. 5 fruit a day. No, is it 3 fruit? Can't remember. Here we go. So we're going to land the gate, and then we're going to go straight onto the Xerath, and then let's help the Lissandra here. So we've pushed top out, and now we're sitting mid. We're sacrificing a bit of farm, but we're trying to siege this tower down. Because Jayce is actually really good at sieging, because he can push the lanes in really hard and poke enemy champions behind the wave. So Jayce, again, extremely versatile. Little bit dodgy there. Knocked the enemy tank into my team, forcing the Kindred to have to use his ultimate. I thought I was a little bit tankier than I was. I was trying to get onto the back line. A little bit too ham there. We die again. But it is what it is. 5, 2, and 4. Okay game so far. But that's the queue, guys. Very, very simple. The next ability we're going to go through is Jayce's W in his ranged form. I'm going to need a glass of water after this game. So many abilities to get through. So Jayce, he basically activates, it's called Hypercharge, I think I mentioned that. You gain 300% bonus attack speed for the next 3 basic attacks. So basically, when you're in range form, if you push your W, Jayce goes doof, doof, doof. He shoots his auto attack really fast for 3 auto attacks. Let's see if this teleport works out. We're going for the backline dive, but we had to do that in division because I have the Scuttle Crab. We're going to dive onto the Kindred, the Cogmore. It was nice and tempting to go after the what's his name, Tarm Kench, but I wanted to go straight onto the yeti carry, get rid of their damage threat, then we'll try and pick up the support, I guess. He's not really doing that well, so he's kind of like a support this game. Unfortunately, the rest of the team is getting picked apart, so we're going to help. That's a great queue, guys. Clip that. Fantastic queue. We're going to go straight onto the team. We flash and jump onto the back lines because we know we can get to the Zeroth straight after we get him. The guy was on the back line. I think it was the Xin Zhao. And then we knock the Galio away from us. So pretty good trade there. But, so yeah, that's the Hypercharge. Basically, you gain bonus attack speed for the next 3 auto attacks. Now, remember, you can actually... this is also an auto attack reset. Now, what makes Jayce really difficult to play is there's some situations where you can switch your form after using this ability. So you can actually switch back to your hammer form, get 3 quick melee auto attacks off that regenerate a lot of mana. So that's just something to keep in mind. Another combo you can do on Jayce. So we're trying to stick on top of this Cogmore with our Q, and we knock him back and we follow it up because he is like in the air, so we can chase him down, get the kill. A little bit of a dive. And you can see here what I mean by Jayce, how he has many identities. He's like this long-range burst assassin mage, ranged melee carry, ADC, ranged carry. He's everything except tank. He's very squishy. So I'm poking them down, and then I can just turn into an assassin and just go into hammer form, jump on top of them, auto E, use all my auto attack resets, and absolutely burn people down. So that's why it makes Jayce quite fun to play. So I've just pinged the Lissandra. Be careful, they're coming around to gank you. So hopefully she can get out with her. Lissandra's actually quite a slippery champion, especially when she gets the aid of a blasting cone there. So the Zeroth goes straight on for his ultimate, and when he uses his ultimate, he can't move, so we go straight onto him with a nice gated Q, and then we follow up with a melee ranged Q. So we can see that we're not doing too much damage to the Galio because he has resistances, which is bad for a tank. Kindred uses his ultimate. My team should be able to clean that guy up, and we're going to worry about that. So we're pushing through mid here. We've done a really good job of making sure we're keeping a lot of pressure up. We're 10 and 2 at this point. We're actually stupid fed, stacking up our Miramana. And we are taking as many camps. You can see how quickly that Jayce decimates that camp with his... I jumped over the wall with my Q, turned on my W, and the whole camp just disappeared instantly. Just got swallowed. So, we're up to the final ability, and then we're going to quickly explain Jayce's R when he's in cannon form as another fight breaks out. A little bit of Clown Fiesta so far. Acceleration Gate. So Jayce deploys an energy gate at the center of the location of where your cursor is, and then for 4 seconds it grants sight as well, so keep that in mind. All allied champions that move through this gate, Dinner coming through again for the win, gain movement speed. So you can use it to escape, you can use it to close down the gap, but I usually use it to extend and supercharge my Q. I generally try to save the cooldown for the long-range Q poke, and will only use the gate in certain niche situations if I'm trying to escape, or like straight out of base to get the movement speed. But remember that it is it affects everyone on the team. So what I'm doing in these team fights, right? And as an assassin, it's your job to do this anyway. So this is how I'm playing Jayce as I poke first. So I'm Zeroth for half the game, and then I turn into Talon, pretty much. So I'm poking down, and then as soon as I see an opportunity to jump on their backline threats, which in this game is a Zeroth and Cogmore, I'm going straight on all the way to the backline and slapping the shit out of them. So that's how I'm playing Jace. Makes it very, very easy when they have two immobile damage threats like the Kog'Maw and the Xerath, who are extremely immobile. So without flash, they're pretty much sitting ducks. And Xerath actually has negative. He's less than immobile. He has abilities to actually slow him down. So he's negative. He has negative mobility. So he's extremely easy to get on top of as Jace. So that's what I'm doing. And then we're going to move around. I've been mid most of the game sieging. And now we're going to go get, making sure we're going to grab this Baron here. The Baron's absolutely demolishing me. I shouldn't be tanking it, obviously, because I do a lot more damage than... actually, we're all pretty much damage dealers this game. So lucky Lissandra can be a little bit of a frontline threat, where this game could have been horribly wrong because we don't really have a nice frontline, which is something you need to be aware of when you play Jace in the top lane, where the usual tanks like to play. You need to be aware that your team may be lacking a bit of frontline. But that's okay. You're a high-range mage... a burst assassin. So that's the acceleration gate. The enemy team takes the Ocean Soul. You know how much I love Ocean Soul, so I'm very disappointed we didn't quite get manage to stop that. But that's okay. We traded it for a Baron. It was probably better to go to the Dragon in hindsight, but that's okay. And we're going to go through the very last thing. Whew. I'm going to need a beer after this one. Which is Jace, when he's in his melee, his ranged form, what does his R do? Obviously, it switches his stance. He goes into the melee form. But when he turns into melee, his attack range goes down. Quickly have a look at this. Go on top of the Xerath. A lot of action in this game. Again, we're going to go straight onto the Kog'Maw. We're getting CC'd by the Gallo, and then we flash forward to make sure we get up and kill the what's his name, Kog'Maw. So I don't want to say I'm carrying these fights, but I'm making sure my team can eliminate these backline threats. And target selection, obviously, on an assassin is if you just go onto the tank, you're going to die. But in all of League of Legends, it's very, very important. So make sure you make killing the right targets. So yeah, so when you switch, you obviously lose attack range because you go to melee form, but you gain bonus armor and magic resist. And his next basic attack deals on hit magic damage, right? So again, you gain a little bit of a bonus when you switch on your first auto attack, so it encourages you to be switching a lot. But remember, if you're about to receive a nice chunk of damage, for in this game, the Xerath, you want to be trying to switch into your hammer form because you gain a little bit more magic resist and you become a little bit more tanky. So you're like a hybrid, right? So you turn into like a bruiser, fighter, assassin, ranged artillery. I'm having a bit of fun here because you literally are very versatile. You can play as almost anything as Jace. So excellent. We capitalize on the mistake by the Tahm Kench. He went a little bit too deep. We do a bit too much damage. His shields aren't good enough. But yeah, guys, that's all of his abilities. Normally I quickly run through all of them again, but we're not going to today because I'm going to pass out. But what I want to get out of, what I want you to get out of this video is that Jace is obviously very difficult. He's going to need a lot of time and practice to get used to his abilities and his combos and knowing what's going to happen when you push your ability. When you play simple champions and you push your Q, you know what's going to happen. When you play Jace and you're not sure what stance you're in, you're going to make mistakes and whatnot. So make sure you get familiar with how he plays. In terms of the ward, depends on the game. I've stuck with the yellow ward. You can also go blue if you're splitting a lot. I've been mid most of the game, so it's been okay to stick with the yellow. Sweep it if you need to. Okay, so let's have a look at this team fight. We're going to jump onto the Xin Zhao because he's the closest threat. We get knocked away. You can see if I go onto the Xin Zhao and then I use my Q onto the Xin Zhao who's got the Kindred dot, you can see the difference. When I don't take out the damage, we just get demolished in these team fights. So bad target selection. I saw a low health bar, which is what a lot of people would do, and they get excited and try and jump on top. So we finish our Ghost Blade. I think we got our Knight's Edge. We did. Knight's Edge obviously extremely good in this game because of the Xerath. We can block we get that nice shield and we can block his first ability. And we're getting the GA. So we're setting up to get that GA, which is going to be super helpful. First of all, I like having the stopwatch active because I think it has a lot of value. And then you also get the added value afterwards as the GA when you finish the item. So I kind of like to use my stopwatch before I upgrade to GA. But sometimes it doesn't work out like that. So what should you do on Jace during the game? So I typically, when I play all carry threats, especially assassins and It's weird because Jace is actually good at sieging, but I like to split push a little bit to gain that lead, to gain that level advantage, to gain that item advantage, and that way you can start demolishing fights. So we're level 16 here, 30 minutes. We're a little bit ahead of everyone, so it means we can pretty much dominate fights. So at this point when I'm fed, I'm trying to push my advantage. So we can see we're 3 levels up on our enemy top laner. We're just poking him with a bit of Q. It's not going to stick that much damage onto the Tahm Kench because he's quite tanky at this point. You can see the gallows coming up through the river. We get spotted on a ward, and I know they're collapsing on us. But remember, we have a lot of movement speed. The gallow doesn't want any bar of it. We've got a lot of movement speed. We got a knockback as well. That's a nice Lissandra stun, which allows me to get my, which allows me to land my Q super easily. And then once we get rid of the Cogmore, we can just run down the Galio. And so reset auto with the knockback. Remember, if you got a lot of movement speed after you've switched stance, when you knock them back, you actually catch them before they can actually use their character again. So you just gain a lot of damage. But if you've got a whole team chasing them and they're about very slippery, be careful of that because you might accidentally knock them to safety. But I feel like I've used my knockback quite effectively this game, and I've definitely shown you can knock enemies back into your team and helping out. So we got a nice wave pushing in the bot side, so we're going to make sure we see this into the tower and get another tower for our team. A little bit of a longer game than I would have expected. And honestly, when you're this far ahead, I have half the kills worth of gold, so I need to be the one making the correct decisions. If I die, our team loses half its gold almost in terms of fight. Look how much damage that did. Are you kidding me, guys? That's disgusting. The gated Q is busted if you hit the targets. Look at that. I love when I saw a couple of squishies, I thought this game's going to be fun. Oh, we missed the Q there. Lux misses her binding, but we ended up bursting him down. 17-3 and 10. Very good game. I'm going to wait for my team to get over there. And then let's take out this Elder Drake. So, fortunately for us, even though they got the soul, we're still going to win the game. So we're going to be able to pick up this Elder Drake and push through for the victory. Again, there's a lot of advanced combos on Jace. I'm not going to go through them in this video. There are some excellent videos on YouTube for those advanced combos, but this is definitely more for a beginner's guide if you're just trying to learn Jace and see what he does. It's a nice MF ult, the Kindred ult coming down as well, protecting our team, and then we're going to decimate. We're just going to absolutely mince the enemy team because we have Elder Dragon. So Lissandra and I have this same idea. We're going to shove this wave in so we can get into the inhibitor. And we have all 3 inhibitors exposed. Their whole team is more or less dead. And we are pushing down all 3 inhibitors. So this game is going to be GG. Quite a good game. This early game could have gone horrendously bad if I didn't get ahead. Especially because we lost out a little bit with the early roam to the jungle. We're helping with the Scuttle Crab. But I have nightmares against Xin Zhao, the early game threat that he is. So we just flash onto the Cogmore. Unfortunately, we screwed that up there. If I switched to my Cannon 4, we might have been able to get a lazy Q and burst at him. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave any comments down below if you have any questions. Thank you all so much for watching. We are going to be doing Gwen next video because she's come out and we've already passed the G's. So we're having Gwen next video. So I hope you guys enjoy. And remember, at the end of the day, it's nighttime. Take it easy.